could use some good family fun in this one. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we're here with my blind reaction to Big City Greens episode 14. So, yeah. Still doing only one episode at a time. Part of that is because of Zatoichi week, of course, taking up a lot of time and effort and just, kind of tiring me out a bit. But also, I am going to a convention this weekend, and so I do need to get some packing and stuff done for that. Um, so I need a little bit of extra time, and only doing one episode of this still is just going to help with that. And I do plan to get to more than one episode at a time. Maybe next week, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, it's just we haven't been able to get to that yet since coming back. Um, but yeah, we're not going to take too much time on this. We're not going to like waste a lot of time here in the pre-thoughts because I mean, not really too much to say here. Um, I'm just excited for what's to come. I don't know what's going to happen at all, but I'm just hoping for more great stuff like what we've gotten so far. Even the weaker stuff has still been pretty good. And when it gets really good, that's what I'm looking forward to, you know? But yeah, I think we're just going to leave it at that. Like I said, not really much else to go into right now, so... Plus, it helps, like, cut back a little more on time and everything, so I have time to do everything I need to with all of that and still have free time. So, that being said, we are going to just go right into it. But before we do, real quick, I just want to remind you all that we have a lot of great content to check out on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, and on Monday specifically, we have YouTube reactions, or at least YouTube adjacent. Shorts, specials, miniseries that just don't have a lot of episodes, or, surprise, surprise, actual YouTube videos. Anything that doesn't quite fit into a normal series or movie reaction goes in this slot. And speaking of movie reactions, you may have noticed this week we've been doing a Zatoichi week for movies. 5 movies, 5 days over the course of Monday through Friday. And that means there's going to be no movies this weekend. But normally, movie reactions are every Saturday and Sunday. I pre-record them during the week and upload them on the weekend, so that every day has some sort of reaction content going on for it, and that will continue next week. We also have a couple Let's Plays we are currently doing on the channel. We have Horizon Forbidden West, and that is going up every other day. So you'll have seen one yesterday on Thursday, you'll see one tomorrow on Saturday, and then Monday and Wednesday, and so on and so forth, every other day. We also have Poppy Playtime going up on Saturdays. I'm not the best at a lot of those puzzle kind of elements, so luckily there's enough content in this first chapter for me to cut it into multiple parts. So you have part 1 already up, part 2's coming up tomorrow, and you'll see a third part as well. But yeah. It's only Chapter 1 because that's all that's available on the PS5 currently, so it's all we can really do. After we finish putting that up, we'll get back to Anno Mutationum. Otherwise, yeah, Poppy Playtime is also a donation reward Let's Play for Venom. And if you want to know how to donate for a future PS5 Let's Play, go to the channel search, and all in one search, type in June Double Reward Month PS5. It should take you to the correct video that will let you know everything you need to on how to donate for a future PS5 Let's Play. Or, you can just ask in the comments, go onto the Discord and ask me in a private message there, or other social media and whatnot. Whatever you're most comfortable with, I don't mind. Feel free to ask and I can let you know. But that all being said, let us get on with the reaction and see what this episode of Big City Greens has in store for us. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction because yes, we do redirect all reactions on this channel. I understand. You don't want to have to do all this extra work just to get to the reaction. You'd rather have it be here, nestled safely in this video, even if it's chopped up into little pieces. I get it. But you do know YouTube's copyright system is really shitty. It's unfair and unjust, and because of that, we just have to play it safe. It's really not safe to put all this stuff on the channel because even with it chopped up, we can still get taken to copyright jail by YouTube. Because fair use, what's that? So to keep things safe, we push all reactions to another site. It just makes sure the channel is safe from any possible channel strikes or a termination. I've dealt with that stuff before, and I really don't want to deal with it again. It's a huge hassle, to put it lightly. But because of that, I am able to give you something. I'm able to give you the full unedited reactions completely free. That's right, entirely free for everyone. This goes for all series, all movies, all reactions, period. Even though they are redirected to another site, you get the entire thing. And there's no paywall, you don't have to subscribe to a Patreon, and you don't even have to sync up your own copy. When you click the link in the description below, it's all right there on the video that it's linked to. I think that's pretty cool because not every reaction channel here on YouTube is able to do that through very valid reasons such as monetization, copyright, and various other things. A lot of these channels just aren't able to make that work, especially when it's their actual full-time job. And they have to pay editors, they have to pay their employees and everything. It makes a lot of sense. But luckily, for this channel at least, I don't have those issues, and I do take a little bit of pride in the fact that I'm able to give you guys the full unedited reactions for free, even with no, again, syncing up of your own copies. I do really like that, and I hope that you guys enjoy it as well. And after you watch the reaction, you can come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will not only contain spoilers to the episode, but my general thoughts on it, thoughts on how it compares to others maybe, and possibly even some stuff related to the channel. You never know. It's always possible and always worth checking out. So, that all, once again, being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So yeah, pretty good episode this time. And even though Gloria was in it, it's not related to that at all, actually. I think like it was just a really good episode even without that, without her input, because she was barely in it. She was very minor and just kind of there in the second episode for a little bit, or the second segment. But let's talk about each segment. So the first segment, they're going to a movie theater to basically see like I don't know, Gremlins, Trolls, a rip on that kind of movie. A family movie that's very immature and silly. I would say it's more Minions-like from the little bit we saw than from what I know of Trolls, because I haven't seen any of those movies. But it very much feels more Minions-like to me, where it's just purposefully annoying, and that's kind of the joke. By the way, I hate the Minions, like, with a passion, just if you didn't know. And Cricket's not too fond of these Boblins or whatever the fuck they're called either, so he wants to go and see this movie that sounds like it's going to be more like horror, action, that kind of stuff. This Kiss of Death film. And while at the theater, he meets some teenagers who are going to see it as well. So he devises these plans to sneak in, and although it takes a little effort, he does manage to do so. However, the movie ends up being a romance. When he thought it was going to be a horror action, it's just this weird romance. I guess you could weirdly compare it to something like Shape of Water, where it's like, oh, it's a romance with some kind of like supernatural creature, basically. I've also never seen that movie, by the way, Shape of Water. I just know it's like a girl falls in love with a merman or something like that. But yeah, so it seems more like that. And Of course, that doesn't interest Cricket at all, but we also see that the teenagers were literally only there to kiss during the kissing scenes in the movie, that they weren't actually watching the movie otherwise. And it's just like, why the fuck are you going to the movie then? You can kiss anywhere. I do not understand this entire thing that, like, is a real thing, by the way. I actually don't know if it's as much a thing these days as it used to be. But that was a real thing. Teenagers would go to movies, specifically romance movies, not to watch the movies, but to kiss. They would bring their partners to the movie just to kiss during the kissing scenes and stuff. And in some cases, more. Yes, that kind of stuff actually did happen. I've heard stories. From real people, believe it or not. I'm not talking just like animation and movies and stuff. Non-animated movies, to specify. The point is, yeah, it's like it's just never really been something I've understood. It's like, if you're going to a movie, watch the movie. You're paying money to get in there. Possibly getting popcorn and stuff too, though they didn't have any, so saving some money in that regard. But it's like, if you're going to a movie, watch the damn movie. If you want to kiss your partner, you can do that literally anywhere. If you just want to spend time with your partner just to make out, do that somewhere for free. Go to a park. Don't go to a movie theater. It's like you're wasting money at that point. On top of that, we had Tilly kind of stumbling upon getting some 3D glasses and, like, being weird because of it. The 3D glasses, like, kind of dim. I talked about this in the reaction, but modern 3D glasses, like, they don't work unless you're watching the movie. Otherwise, it just kind of dims everything around you. They're in like a sunglasses kind of way. But, like, the old school 3D glasses with, like, the red and blue filters on each side, like, obviously would change the color of things and all, but also, if you actually were, like, just wearing them, they could kind of give you a bit of a headache, because they did actually make things kind of fuzzy and blurry a little bit. But they didn't really obviously work in their intended purpose unless you were watching the movie. So yeah, it's like 3D glasses, I guess technology has come in a different way than it used to be. But Tilly is still just acting weird because it's Tilly. Meanwhile, Bill is trying to, like, perfect the popcorn behind the concession stand, because the popcorn they had there was, you know, cheap and stale and whatnot. And the funny thing is, I've never been to a movie theater where the popcorn has been, like, bad. Maybe it's not the best popcorn I've ever had, but it's like, it's never been, like, cheap and old and stale and, you know, like, cold or whatnot. No. I've never experienced that. Because they keep it heated, for one, so you're not going to get cold popcorn. And for two, it's like they do pop it pretty regularly. So you're not just having popcorn, like, sitting there in, like, a chest freezer or something for hours and hours on end. No. It's just like, that just doesn't really happen. Unless you're going to some really cheap, rundown theater. In which case, it's like, yeah, it's a really cheap, rundown theater. What are you really expecting? But no, this seems like a really nice, big city theater, so it really doesn't make a lot of sense there. And mind you, Bill's popcorn, probably amazing. But as was made very clear, it takes a long time to make and prepare, a lot longer than it takes to just have the already prepared stuff that the theater has. So even though it's a lot better, it's like, the problem is, when people are going to a theater, they don't want to be waiting forever. They're there for the movie. A lot of times they don't get there like an hour beforehand. They're there usually like 15 minutes maybe before the film starts. And so it's like, they want their popcorn so they can get into the theater and get ready. watch the previews, watch the movie, and enjoy it. So it's like, it's just not feasible to do it the way he did it. And then Grandma Alice is just, trying to get the seats and tossing children all over the place. The second segment, though, is actually pretty interesting. Cricket gets the idea to start an Airbnb, which they, just for copyright reasons, I guess, name something else. It's pretty much the same thing, though. Like, they like added a letter or something. I don't remember exactly what it was. But anyways, he gets the idea to start an Airbnb. But he doesn't realize at first, and I don't think ever actually realizes, his home is listed under Gloria's account, and we find that out at the end because she gets the money for it. She gets paid for it. I don't even think she realized that was going to happen, though, to be fair. She seems surprised at the end, too. But anyway, yeah. Cricket gets the idea to do this Airbnb, and they get their first customers. This couple who are really excited by the idea of the Green family house being like this authentic, rustic country home. And now this is something I don't understand. So I understand the main point of Airbnb. I get the idea of it, and I've seen it even shown in movies and stuff. But when people get an Airbnb, like if it's like some kind of like, novelty place or whatnot like this, I assume they want to see the house and stuff, but they're usually staying there basically in lieu of a hotel and all. That's what Airbnbs kind of are. They're an alternate to a hotel. You get kind of like this more authentic house style living rather than, a hotel room or a motel room or something like that. But people don't usually, like, try to just spend all their time in the house and all, right? Like, I've never taken part in it. I've never, like, run an Airbnb, obviously, and I've never gone to one. Mostly because it concerns me in the same way that Ubers concern me. If you understand what I mean, it seems like it could be less safe. If you know what I mean. I don't know. But the point is, they go to it, and do people really do this where they just stay around the house the entire day? Like, I get if it's like this, like, kind of themed thing where it's like, oh, this house you're staying at for the Airbnb is like this specialty, like, themed museum or something. It's like, yeah, you're gonna want to check that out. And I understand that, like, they're in the middle of the big city and there's this authentic country home in the middle there. So I kind of get that, but there's not really a lot they can do all day. And most of the time, they're just, like, watching the family, or in this case, mostly Cricket, do chores and all. And it's like, okay. Why is that super entertaining? I don't quite get that. And it's like, again, if you're staying there in lieu of a hotel or something, unless you're literally just staying there just to see the authentic country home, in which case, I guess you could probably just visit normally. I don't know. It just seems like a weird idea. It just seems like a really weird idea to me. Maybe that's just me. But they stay and are loving it. But Cricket realizes that it's a lot more work than he expected or wanted. He thought it was going to be like easy money. Get all this money for doing practically nothing. But no, he has to actually do work and everything, and it has to, do stuff to entertain them in this situation. And he was not prepared for that, and so doing all these chores, which he normally does anyway, so it's like it's not really that different. Outside of, being forced out of his room in the end, which I can understand could be a little annoying. The point is, it makes him like just really regret his choices, And so eventually he and Tilly decide to try and like force them out by being too city, because it's clear all they wanted was the authentic country uh, stylings of it and all. And it seems to be working until Bill does talk to Cricket and, gets him to understand why what he's doing is a little wrong and all. And so they kind of go way too far in the other direction by being a little too stereotypically country. And even at the end, Bill is like, "Yeah, we don't people we know aren't actually like this. We went a little too far. We took it a little like in the wrong direction. Well, we took it too far in the wrong direction." And it's just like, yeah, you went very far with it. It was very stereotypical. It was ridiculous. And that ends up getting them to leave anyway. And then Gloria gets the money because it was all set up with her account and everything. So she gets $100 and is just like ecstatic about it because, $100. She's working at a cafe, probably doesn't make a huge amount. $100, when she literally did nothing for it, is probably pretty damn good, all things considered. Especially with like her dreams and everything, the reason she's in big city and all in the first place. It's like that probably helps with that. Um, so yeah, a good episode with two very entertaining segments. Um, Pretty ridiculous segments and all as well, but I can dig that. I can have fun with that. Um, and yeah, it was like it was really entertaining all the way through. Tell me in the comments, though, what did you think of this episode? And before we close this out, I do want to remind you all that we have a lot of great content to check out on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions. And on Monday specifically, we have YouTube reactions, or at least YouTube adjacent. Anything really that doesn't quite fit into a normal series or movie reaction goes in this slot. And speaking of movie reactions, we have those normally every Saturday and Sunday. I pre-record them during the week and upload them on the weekend so that every day has some sort of reaction content going on for it. And I do say normally because if you're watching this on the day or week it came out, then you'll have noticed that this entire past week has been Zatoichi week, in which we've been doing 5 Zatoichi films over 5 days, Monday through Friday, and there's no movies coming this weekend. But starting next week, we will be back to our normal Saturday-Sunday schedule with movie reactions. We also have a couple Let's Plays currently going on the channel. We have Horizon Forbidden West every other day. So you'll have seen one yesterday on Thursday, one tomorrow on Saturday, and then on Monday and Wednesday, and so on and so forth, every other day. And we also are playing through Poppy Playtime on Saturdays. There's a donation reward Let's Play for Venom, and if you want to know how to donate for a future PS5 Let's Play, go to the channel search, and all-in-one search type in June Double Reward Month PS5. It should lead you to the correct video that will let you know everything you need to in regards to how to donate for a future PS5 Let's Play. But, all of that being said, thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.